If you're stuck charging under $2,000 a month in your agency and you wonder how others are charging $5,000 or even $10,000 a month, today I'm going to teach you exactly how they do it. Now, I've made many millions with the agency model. I own Affluent.co. We're an agency based in the UK. I've been running it for 8 years. I've also mentored thousands of other agencies and helped them launch, build, and scale. Now, I get asked all the time, how do I increase my prices? That's exactly what I'm going to help you with today. In fact, I'm going to teach you how to double your agency prices without losing clients, without adding a guarantee to your offer, and without doing more stuff. And by the end of this video, regardless of what you sell and who you sell it to, you'll be able to dramatically increase the amount of money you're currently making from your existing clients without having a whole bunch of fallout. And you will wish that you watched this video sooner. In fact, I wish this was advice that I was giving much sooner. And it took me a lot of money and a lot of time to learn this myself. And here we are. So first of all, I want to show you just this in practice. Some people that have put this into motion very recently. This is all within the last 30 days or so. This is Alex in one of our mentorship programs. He said he's come from $500 retainers. This week alone, he sold 2 pay-in-fulls at $3,000 each. Okay, now we taught him this pricing strategy that I'm going to be running through today that you will be able to apply. It's not just Alex, Maximilian in the last 30 days. Okay, he's upsold his main clients from $3K to over $5.7K. He said a huge thanks to Nicholas, who's one of our coaches, for pushing me to rethink my pricing and positioning. He closed 2 other clients at $2K, which is a little bit more low ticket, but still. We then got Ivan. He had his best month ever, $57K month, and he said that they upsold their existing clients. They got that, and they significantly increased their retainers, including one client which is paying $6.6K a month. Okay, how do people do this? How are people charging this much money and just seemingly overnight increasing their prices without having backlash from their existing clients? Now, this is something that took me years to learn. In fact, it was 4 years until I actually got my first proper mentor in business, a mentor that cost me $36,000 to acquire. This gent called Sam Ovens, who you may know as the owner of School.com, used to own Consulting.com, has made tens upon tens of millions in the online space, now worth hundreds of millions as an entrepreneur. And one of the single biggest and best pieces of advice that Sam gave me when I flew over to LA to meet him for the first time was, Jordan, you need to increase your prices. You have to increase your prices. And I met that with so much resistance. I had so many mental barriers, but what I realized was it was all mental. It was all my own internal dialogue standing in my way of achieving what I wanted to achieve. And I hadn't realized until he demonstrated to me how much I was grossly undervaluing what I was actually doing for my clients. Now, there are a few things we have to consider in doing this, but I actioned this advice. We dramatically increased our revenue, and even to still this day, we follow these principles. One of our clients in the agency, you can see Affluent Agency, this is the 6th of June. So within the last month, a £30,000 invoice paid. That's almost $40,000. Okay, how are we able to achieve this? Now, in order for us to even begin to increase our prices, we have to get a deep understanding of where people go wrong right now. Okay, where are people getting this wrong? Where are people screwing up? Most people price low for far too long, and so what it does is it gets them stuck as what I call an impossible freelancer. Okay, impossible because you have too many clients to acquire new ones. Okay? So you don't actually have the time to invest in sales because you're spending so much of your time on service delivery. Maybe you've got 7, 8, or even 9 clients. You're busting your ass all day just trying to fulfill. And this is relevant whether you've got an ad agency or an SEO agency or web agency, whatever. We get to a point if we've got low ticket clients, we simply do not have the time that we need in order to continue selling inside of the business. And that doesn't work. Scale then stops. We also don't have enough cash to hire help because we're pulling in clients at $500 a month, maybe some free trials in the mix as well. Maybe you've got a couple on 1,000, but we just don't have enough cash to hire good help that can take the service delivery off our hands. And so therefore, we're always stuck with a poor ICP. What I mean by this is a poor ideal customer profile, or a less than ideal customer profile would be more fitting. When we start off as an agency, a service provider, whatever we want to call this business model, when we start off selling services to other people in the early stages, our biggest challenge is proving that we are who we say we are and we can do what we say we can do. And so therefore, we naturally go for smaller businesses that are less intimidating because it's easier for us to convince them to go ahead with us because they're not too far ahead in their journey yet. Maybe from a time perspective, they've been in business for a long time, but broadly, they're not going to be making a huge amount of money. When we're first starting out, we'll usually work with a business making, under 50K per month, broadly speaking. And so it's easier for us to sell as a complete novice to that kind of a business owner who hasn't yet got this depth of experience in marketing or the service that we're providing, and therefore it is a lot less intimidating. Now, the issue is if we stay with those low value clients and we stay with the people that can't afford to pay us more, then we're always going to be battling around in this low price market, and we're going to find ourselves at the risk of becoming an impossible freelancer. Now, the goal for all of you, regardless of what you sell and who you sell it to, should be a minimum client LTV of £10,000 plus, or $10,000, whatever. Okay, LTV being a lifetime value, that's the amount of money a client will spend with you over their lifetime. Obviously, the higher this number, the better, okay, because the higher your LTV, the more money we can spend to acquire said customer. And that number is customer acquisition cost, CAC. If you're new to this channel, talk about data a lot because business is really just an algorithm of numbers. Okay, so a minimum of 10K is what we want to be looking at on LTV when we're inside of our business. We cannot be doing that if we've got a $500 a month client, because they'll have to retain with us for, 20 months? Yeah, 20 months. Now, for most that decide they want to break out of this, they still end up screwing up the price increase because they confuse work with work. They think that value equals more deliverables. They think that if they do more for their clients, then that entitles them to having more money. But this is counterintuitive to this whole process here. We cannot increase our value by increasing the amount of time we spend, because all we're doing is just chasing the same end state. We're in a place where we're spending too much time, earning too little money, we can't build a team, and we can't achieve the freedom that we set out to achieve, or most people set out to achieve time-based freedom when they start a business in the first place. And so it's counterintuitive if you think that you need to do more work to make more money. You don't want to do that. Most people will lower their price out of fear, okay? They're afraid to increase their prices, okay, or maybe even lower their prices, negotiate, haggle on a call, and then they try and earn it back by adding more, by doing more for the client. They say, okay, well, let's start off on this lower rate, but then we're going to upsell you to this service just at the baseline price they wanted originally. Big mistake. And they offer a guarantee when they're first starting out, which is a massive risk for new agencies. You absolutely should not offer a guarantee to anybody if you aren't absolutely certain you can get them that result. If not, you are taking on a huge amount of risk. Your relationship is skewed from the start. You're setting expectations in a place that you don't even know are realistic. And even if you meet them, you're only still meeting expectations with your clients, and the whole purpose or the whole goal of a service-based business owner, or their relationship with their clients at least, should be to over-deliver to each and every person that you work with. Because when you over-deliver and you exceed expectations to everybody that you work with, that's when you get referrals, that's when you get testimonials, that's when you get case studies, and all of these things that are intrinsically fundamental to you scaling the business and to increasing your price. Okay, so if we have a guarantee and we're uncertain on whether or not we can deliver on that, we're setting ourselves up for failure. Guarantees only want to come when we actually know we can guarantee that specific result, hence guarantee. Okay, so these are the fundamental mistakes. If any of this resonates with you, make sure you pay attention to this. This is so important. We're going to get into the perception game. Now, first, you must understand this. Price is not determined by effort, time, or even results. It is determined by perception. Price is purely a game of perception, as is marketing and as is sales in many instances. If they believe that you are the best, they will pay more, even if someone cheaper exists. I'm going to repeat that. If they believe you are the best, they will pay more, even if someone cheaper exists. Okay, so how do we make our clients, our prospects, believe that we are the best solution? Well, perception is shaped by our positioning, okay? So the way that we sit in the market next to other people, our language, the words, the tone of our brand, our visuals. What does our website look like? What does our social media look like? How are we perceived? What does the deck look like that we might have gone through on a sales call if we are using a deck? And our proof, okay? What case studies? What leverage do we have? What can we use that demonstrates that we are who we say we are and we can do what we say we can do? Now, we don't raise prices and then fix perception. We fix perception and then our prices feel justified. So we have to fix the way that we are perceived from our prospects first by altering these 4 things. In fact, I'm actually going to break this down and distill it into 3 key areas that we're going to go through today. And all of them are equally as important to each other. We fix those first, and then we increase our prices, never the other way around. So how do we increase this perceived value? Now, the first thing we can do is upgrade the offer, upgrade your offer. We must know what an offer actually is. Many people think that their offer is their service. They think, oh, my offer is Facebook ads. No, that's not your offer. That is the mechanism behind your offer. That is the service itself. That is what you do. And only you care about that. The client doesn't care about that. They just care about the outcome. So we have to focus on outcomes, not on actions. If you offer a Facebook ad service, you're not a meta ad agency. You're a lead generation agency, or maybe an AI lead generation agency if you use AI. Or maybe you're a performance marketing agency if you work with online brands, but you are not a meta ad agency. So we have to make sure that when we are expressing what we do to people in every way, shape, or form, through our website, through our socials, through the cold calls that we make, through the ads that we run, we are focusing on outcomes and not on actions. And as tangible as we can make those outcomes as possible, the better. So if we can get specific, if we can talk percentages, if we can talk numbers, if we can talk averages, the more specific we can get, the better. But never talk specific unless you're actually confident in that. So specificity, is that right? will come over a period of time through your knowledge and confidence that you can actually get that specific result. We want to kill the menu of services. Awful. You got an agency's website and it's like, we do meta ads, we do SEO, we do email marketing. Get rid of it. Sell one clear transformation. Make it a bit ambiguous. Okay, make it mysterious. Make it something that makes people read and be like, I want to learn more about that. I want to book a call with these guys. You've got to be out of the box. In an industry like the agency space, like the service-based business, you are going to be boxed as often as people can put you in one. So when you speak to a prospect, and when we're in any sales-based environment, our immediate thought is, what can I compare this to that is similar to what I've experienced before? And so if you approach someone as a generic lead generation agency, they're going to think about all the other lead generation agencies that have called them in the past. They're going to put you in that box, and you're going to, through law of comparison, just be, lined up with them. And then there's going to be like a game of top trumps for them to figure out whether or not they even want to entertain you. If we are unboxable, in the sense we have some kind of a unique mechanism behind our service, we are utilizing a new technology like AI that increases our authority, we become unboxable. It becomes very hard to line up us on top trumps because we're not measuring the same metrics against each other. And so it's in our best interest to create unique mechanisms. It's in our best interest to adopt latest technology like AI. In fact, I think it's outright foolish for anybody who's providing an online service right now to not be baking AI into their offer. Because right now, the perception of AI is as valuable to your agency as the results it can generate for your clients. What I mean by that is utilizing AI, having an AI-enabled offer, will add as much value to your business as it will add value to your clients. Because just by utilizing and leveraging the fact that you use it will dramatically increase your authority and will make you look like you are at the forefront of agency or whatever service you're offering. So if you're a meta ad service being lined up for those top trumps with, 5 other meta ad agencies, there might be other people that have been around for 3-4 years longer than you have. But if you offer an AI-enabled lead generation service, you're going to be perceived to be more knowledgeable because you are utilizing the latest technology. And so we have to, if we're looking to increase the price, find some kind of an edge, become unboxable. Focus on the outcomes, kill the menu of services, sell one clear transformation, and ideally build our authority by utilizing AI in the offer itself. The second thing that we're going to do is increase our leverage or increase the proof that we have. You watch Hormozy videos, you'll always hear Hormozy shouting about proof over promise. Okay, most people in the service space are promise over proof. I can guarantee you X amount of clients or you don't pay, blah, 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 blah. Where's the proof? Anybody can say that they can generate 1,000 leads a month or generate a website that's going to outperform every website they've had or generate creative that's going to outperform everything in the ad account. Blah, blah, blah. Anybody can say that shit. Not many people can prove it. So Go in with the proof first and then back it up with the promise afterwards. Make sure if you're making a promise, you can back it up with proof. If not, your words are meaningless and only fools will say yes to working with you. So our price is validated through the trust of others. And that means that other people, aka our past clients, will validate that we can actually back up the promise that we're putting out online, that we can actually fulfill the work that we've done. And so we want to stack client wins. We want to have screenshots. We want to have case studies. We want to have interviews. Screenshots being ad accounts, screenshots being WhatsApp messages where they've been gushing over the results we've generated, case studies being documented proof of the results that we've generated, maybe a bit of education around that. Some of the highest converting client stories that you can create are ones in which you educate people. And so when you educate, you're naturally going to go through the pains that the client had, the story, the framing, and then your other potential prospects are going to be able to resonate with that and then trust you through the value you provide. And then interviews as well are exceptional. Go visit your clients, interview them about their experience of you again, get in the emotional stuff, understand the story, and share that across everywhere you have possible. Okay, client wins are your key to leverage, and you need to wear your leverage with pride. In the Affluent Agency, we have something called the Leverage Library. This is simply a Notion database in which we use to store every single piece of leverage we've got. Any award that we've ever won, any speaking gig we've ever done, any case study, screenshot, interview, testimonial, you name it. We store it all in the Leverage Library, and this is something that I wish that we built from day one. It took us a couple of years to even recognize the importance of this stuff, to even recognize the need of getting reviews online. So from day one, you want to be stacking as much leverage as you've got, because leverage is what separates you from everyone else, and leverage is what proves that you can actually do this. Okay, it's the validation behind the words, the promise. So I want to tell you a story on this. Back in 2019, I rebranded Affluent.co, or the agency to Affluent.co, from Platten Enterprises. Okay, now I wanted a new logo for this rebrand, and so I started speaking to design agencies. Hopefully you can see this right now. I'll just zoom in so you can. But one of the agencies I reached out to was the agency that created the Airbnb logo. I was like, I'm just going to go for the best. You know, my perception was this is the best agency. They create the Airbnb logo. I want a slice of that. They said to me, we tend to start our engagements at $100,000 for this kind of work. Now, granted, they fluffed it up. They said, we don't normally take on just logo. Instead, a full visual brand encompassing typography, color, art direction, logo, and all visual elements of the brand. So basically just logo design, but, you know, with a little brand pack attached to it. Like, man, you always get a brand pack with a good logo designer anyway. $100,000, okay? That's a lot of money for a logo. I actually ended up selling for an agency who were 0.5% of that price. Another great logo design agency, but they suggested $500. Okay, and then I had to pay a PayPal service tax fee there as well. Why am I sharing this with you? The only difference between these two agencies is perception. James has more leverage because he's working with a company like Airbnb and therefore can dictate his prices. He can set that $100,000 price point and people will reason with it and people will pay it because they are not buying the pixels on the screen. They are buying the perceived value that comes through the agency that has done the branding and design work for $1 billion company. They're buying this unwritten, intangible energy from the leverage that James has created from working with those clients. Whereas Milo's is working on Fiverr and visually the work looks the same, but the energy doesn't exist because he hasn't been able to leverage these huge companies he's designed logos for. So the work is almost identical, but the perception of the work is worlds apart. I mean, $100,000 apart. Crazy. I don't think I would ever spend $100K on a logo, but you get the idea. You get the sentiment all the same. Okay, the third thing that we can do is improve our image. We have to improve our image. People buy from people who share their identity. We always hear that, people who buy from people. What does that mean? We want to buy from shared identity, from companies that we perceive to have the same values as us. The brand we build, the words we use, the visuals we show all tell a story about who we are, what our values are, and who we believe in. And our story must be the one that they want to be a part of. let's just say, for example, you are you're a performance marketing agency. You run ads for e-commerce brands. You start off, and the entry level there is really drop shipping. You're selling to drop shipping brands who buy products from Alibaba, and they repackage them, sell them for a multiple, and la-di-da. Okay, they kind of churn and burn, make loads of money, get out of it style businesses, but they're the easiest ones for you to sign up because they've got the lowest standards and they're happy to work with beginner agencies who just charge them the least, right? Well, when you start your agency brand, you're probably not going to be too conscious about the way you're perceived because you don't need to be perceived in a high regard. You don't need to worry about story or values or copywriting and your digital footprint. You don't need to think about the fact that people are going to Google your name when they book a call with you because the clients you're working with are working with you for one reason only, and that is because you are one of the cheapest on the market, okay? So when you then make the active decision to increase that standard of yours and work with large fashion brands, for example, jewelry brands making hundreds of thousands, if not millions on a monthly basis, there's a huge gap between your presence and your story, and you need to do a digital footprint. Because the higher the caliber of the business that you look to work with, the more important it's going to be for them that they are working with people that meet their culture. Because as businesses, as we grow and as we expand as leaders, culture becomes one of the most important things in the business. We understand that the people we work with in our team will make or break our company. And that, as an extension, goes across to the agencies that we work with. Okay, a business won't just consider, okay, am I hiring the right person? Are they a good culture fit for me? They're going to consider, is the agency I'm looking to work with the right culture fit for me as well? And so if you're working with a low caliber client at the moment and you want to increase, you need to run a digital footprint audit, and you need to put yourself in the shoes of the ICP, search your name, search your agency name, and just see how you are perceived and see if you think that you would resonate with you if you were them. I'm going to give you an example story of this. Rolex and Tudor. Rolex and Tudor are watch companies, both owned by the same mother company. Okay, so Rolex on the left, Tudor on the right. They haven't really put in too much work to try and make these watches different, right? We've just got these like square dials instead of the circles here, and we've got a couple of very minor differences. Now, Rolex's internals are made in-house, and a few of Tudor's are bought in externally. That is the only difference from a build quality. So it's like a 10 to 20% increase in quality from Tudor going into Rolex. Yet Rolex costs 500 to 1,000 times more than Tudor does. Why? Because people buy Rolex's story. They buy scarcity because Rolex feeds into that. You can't just go into a dealership and buy this as a Submariner. You can't just go into a dealership and buy a stainless steel black sub. You're going to go into that dealership, probably be waiting or told you're going to wait at least 3 years for that watch and maybe not even get that watch unless you buy a bunch of other watches in the meantime. So they create a whole bunch of scarcity surrounding the product, okay? And you can do that within your agency if you, for example, limit on location. Many lead gen agencies will only work with one client in their niche in the single location. So when they call up another location, they can simply say, hey, so we're working with another dentist in Norwich right now, getting them this result. We're looking to take on a dentist in Cambridge, one only. You would be the perfect fit for us. Are you free for a call to discuss this? There's going to be a lot more pressure to say yes to that conversation because there is scarcity around it. We can also achieve that through capping the amount of clients we take within a certain niche, regardless of their location. And we can also do this by cohorting clients, by only taking in a number of clients on a monthly basis or in certain groups over whatever arbitrary time periods you set. Social status and association are two other big ones with Rolex, and this also carries across to your agency. Okay, with Rolex, we know that many celebrities over the years have worn Rolexes. We know that it is a status symbol as far as wealth is concerned. If you are wearing a Rolex, people will presume that you have money. Okay, and it's no different with your agency. Businesses want to be associated with other businesses they look up to. And so if you have worked with competitors of your other prospects that they look up to or they admire, they are going to want to be associated with your agency. Okay, so by default, if we have a good brand, if we have a good image, if we are wearing all of our past results, we are able to control perception in the way Rolex has and therefore increase our prices dramatically with really only adding 10, 20% of value on top of there, maybe not even adding the value there, really just controlling the perception. Now, I don't want this to get misunderstood as I'm talking about this, because every time I talk about perception, some people get this wrong. It's like some people think that, oh, well, this just means that you're charging whatever you want, and like you're not actually charging what the fair market price is, and all that bollocks. These rules only apply if you're actually delivering a good service. These rules only apply if you are getting your clients exceptional results. None of this video applies to you if you are not getting good results for your clients. You shouldn't even be considering increasing your prices unless your clients are extremely happy with you and they're staying with you for a long time. Okay, that is the precursor to this. This is not about shilling some shitty little service that you have no idea how to fulfill in order to make as much money as you possibly can in the shortest time frame possible. This is about maximizing your return on real value that you have already built in a marketplace. So if you are watching this right now and you're not yet confident that you can deliver results for your clients, do not think about increasing your prices. That's very important. You're going to fail, you're going to lose, you're going to get bad reviews. Focus on delivering an exceptional service first, and then when you know that your service is exceptional, then you can increase your prices using the tactics that we're going to be going through today. Now, on the flip side, if you're watching this and you are already generating a great service for your clients, but you're not really sure where to begin on upgrading your offer or increasing your leverage or improving your image, and you want us to audit your agency and help you implement this stuff for yourself, just like we have done for all the other guys that I showed you at the start of this video, then you can book a casual call with a member of our team. I'll put a link in the description. You can check that out in your own time. And for all of you, if you DM me double price on Instagram and follow me at Jordan Platten, I'll send you over this entire training doc that we've gone through today for you to reference back to in your own time. Nice, let's move on. So we are increasing our prices. We understand how to do this. We've got our existing clients though, right? We've got existing clients in the business. What do we do with them? We've decided that we want to take ourselves from 1K a month to 3K a month or 5K a month. How are we going to do this with the existing clients? Where does this leave us? Now, the truth is, when you increase prices, you will rock the boat. I'm not going to lie to you. You will rock the boat and you might lose a few clients. But how can we prevent client loss? How can we stop this from happening? And I'm going to give you all the lessons that I've learned, and of course, hundreds of other agencies who have increased their prices. I've observed this happen many times over. You want to make sure that you pay close attention to this so you don't end up having fallout. So you want to start by ranking all of your clients by efficiency. So think about how much they pay versus how much of your time they actually take as a business. Okay, so you're going to rank all of your clients. Say you've got 10 clients. You've got those 10 clients there. At the top, you've got the client you spend the least time with, but make the most money. At the bottom, you've got the client you make the least money from, but spend the most time on. Okay, so these are your clients in order of financial efficiency. Now, you're going to use these 3 strategies. The first one is going to be the ultimatum for the bottom 10%. You actually want to get rid of your worst paying client or some of them when you look to increase your prices. You can't keep everyone, and it's in your best interest to get rid of some people. So what you're going to do is you're going to present your new pricing on a call as a non-negotiable step forward. Okay, so we've worked with you now for 4 years. Our prices haven't actually changed since then, but our costs have changed. The level of service has changed as well. And so therefore, we are now increasing our prices to X. Now, you're going to expect some churn, but be okay with it. They actually be quite happy that some of those clients are dropping off because they are dragging the business down and costing you a lot of time and money. And you, of course, do want to keep it respectful. You are not kicking them out. You're not jumping on them and be like, right, we're increasing our prices. Do you want to stay or do you want to go? You're still going to position that price increase to them and try and help them understand as a business owner. We are all human. They are going to understand it. It's going to be very rare that a client is going to get shitty with you. They're going to understand that they joined you on an introductory rate and now you're more established and you're getting great results. And now you have to increase. And it's their choice whether or not they want to leave or stay with you. Now, what is interesting about these ultimatum clients is the ones that do leave very, very often come back. Because what they do is they go to other agencies that were charging your historic prices and realize that the value gap is huge and actually you are worth the money that you are looking to charge them through this ultimatum. So you will find that these clients will end up coming back to you. Next, we have value add. Now, I've said that we're going to do this for the majority and then this one for top 10%. I'm actually retracting that. I believe that this is really a mashup between these two, depending on your current situation. Let me explain. So value add is us simply adding value. Okay, we can either reposition what they're already getting Okay, so we can, if we sold on a lead generation service previously, we might reposition that service to an AI lead generation service, or we might reposition it from the sense of we started on a 1K a month ad spend, now we're spending 5K per month, and so we are putting in a lot more work in the account, so we are just explaining the value change to them. Or we can add a unique mechanism, so we can brand the process that we are following in the business, or some kind of AI system to raise the perceived value. Okay. Now, AI system is the easiest way you can value add. So if you offer a service right now and you don't have some kind of AI element attached to it, it's very easy to add some kind of AI perceived system, even if it's a custom GPT that you're using internally. It's going to take you very little time to implement, but we can have a massive impact on the perceived value. Okay, so we are offering this lead generation service to you. As you know, we've already started doing appointment setting. We are now going to plug in an AI appointment setting bot on the back end to increase conversions, or we may have already done that and it's getting us X result. But as such, it's costing us more money, and we're spending a lot more time on it, and our prices are increasing to X. Now, value add can, of course, only really be used if you're undervaluing from a perceptional standpoint the service that you've sold to the clients. So if you just sold on a simple Facebook ad service, you've got a lot of leverage to now bump this up to an AI lead generation system with the CRM, with the appointment settings, stuff that you might already be doing that you didn't originally sell the client on. But if you sold the client on one thing, you're looking to increase the price and it's identical, okay, on both ends of the spectrum, it's going to be hard for you to add perceived value unless you can stack AI onto it. Now, if you are in that position, you're already maximizing the perceived value of your service from the way that you see it. And that leaves us with the final thing that we can offer to soften the blow for existing clients, that is a performance model. This is my personal favorite, and we can do this in many ways. We can charge pay per lead, pay per appointment, pay per show, percentage of ad spend, percentage of return on ad spend, percentage of profit, percentage of revenue. There are many ways that we can do this. In fact, I could create an entire video on this if you want me to. Comment down below performance models and we will do that. The key to introducing some kind of a performance model is we want to offer it initially in the sense that it means we earn less. So if we're charging a client $2,000 a month at the moment, we want to offer them a percentage that actually means we're going to earn slightly less than an amount. So the client gets an immediate quick win, but there is a lot of upside potential. So we want to do this with clients where we know we're going to continue scaling them. We lose a little bit of money on the front end, but we have a lot of upside potential. It is so easy to get people on performance models on that basis. And then we have skin in the game on both sides. The client's invested in us, we are invested in them, and therefore we get decreased churn because we increase the trust that we have got with our clients, and we've achieved what we wanted to achieve, which is increasing our prices. Cool. That's it. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.